China joins Russia, which is the worst fear of the US as the two global powers join together. China immediately begins to trade with Russia and pours in war materials to the Middle East and Koreas, which are the two main theaters of war. The European countries pour in more troops and war materials, but it is too late as Israel and Saudi Arabia are losing ground rapidly and have adopted defensive circles around their main cities. In the last-ditch attempt to defend their cities from mass destruction, Israel releases five nukes bombing on major cities of the pro-Russian countries. Works well at first, but as soon as the pro-Russian start killing Israel's citizens and demands that Israel to stop nuking their major countries, or all the Israeli citizens in the towns that they conquered would die. Faced with the dilemma whether to continue fighting or surrender, while the Israeli government work it out, pro-Russian forces start bombing their main Israel cities. After they can no longer endure the fighting of the war, Israel surrenders. This now prompts the Saudi to do the same after they suffered similar. Israel and Saudi had to pay an oil tribute to the Middle East countries and permanently disband their military. North Korea also subdued South Korea into submission as their main purpose is to have unified Korea. This ends up as single Korea who end fighting for their respective sides and work on rebuilding their country. Meanwhile, Russia decides that now is the time to advance their agenda. They start invading Poland, Ukraine, and Finland, which all the countries puts up a good fight. However, due to the advanced Russian war machine, they lost, and their lands became part of Russian land. Anti-US sentiment also grew in Europe as they were the ones who brought this war to them. Seeing the war already lost, all European countries pull out of their war and remain neutral. American spies report that Russia does not plan to invade the US, but force them to surrender. The US realizes they have lost the war, but attempt to salvage something out of nothing. War fatigue sets in on both sides, and now most people want a treaty between the two powers. The US submits a surrender request. The Russians and the US briefly argue about the treaty conditions, but eventually agreed on that the US surrenders and agrees that all naval forces retreat back to 100,000 feet from American soil and that the US reduce their nuclear bomb capacity by 30%.